being back on home soil is very refreshing, but surreal at the same time.
It's been 20 years since Lee Makiri has walked around his old Ōtara neighbourhood in South Auckland.
Coming back to my old stomping grounds, where I was raised, you forget a lot of this.
Lee and his wife left for Australia in their 20s in search of better opportunities.
The initial first 10 years being in Melbourne was exciting, new.
But their lives didn't go as planned. Losing his job put pressure on his marriage and Lee spiralled.
Turning into pretty much a full-blown alcoholic and going down that path made me a very different person.
In July, Lee was deported to Aotearoa after serving more than 5 years in an Australian jail on domestic violence charges.
The problems that I caused became a bit of a nightmare. I made a mistake. I took responsibility for that, and I'm still taking responsibility for that. I'm just trying to find my path through it.
He spent over a year in Maribyrnong Immigration Detention Centre, appealing his deportation to try and remain in Australia, unsuccessfully.
Being woken up at 4 in the morning, told to pack your shit, you're on the bus to go to the airport, you're done, you're out. I was frightened by the unknown, and I was frightened about what my future looked like. Because stepping off that plane, I just didn't know.
Lee is one of more than 3,000 Kiwi deportees who over the past 10 years have been booted out at the Australian border because of their criminal behaviour. Anyone who's not an Aussie citizen can also be deported from there if the government considers them to be of bad character. In addition, they'll never be allowed to step foot in Australia again. For Lee, it means he can never go back to Melbourne to see his 4 sons.
That's the hardest thing of all. You don't get to spend time with them, you don't get to laugh with them, cry with them even. It makes for a hard journey with everything else stacked against us under that 501 label.
That label comes from Section 501 of the Migration Act, under which the non-Australian citizens who commit serious crimes are sent back to Aotearoa after finishing their prison sentences. Many have spent decades away from whānau, living much of their adult lives across the Tasman.
Being deported is literally the worst thing that they've ever gone through in life. And a lot of these guys have been through a lot.
David Obeda was deported in 2019 after living almost half his life in Australia. As a violent offender who was in and out of jail there, he knows the struggles 501s face returning to a country many have little connection with.
That's a harsh predicament to find yourself in, you know, with absolutely nothing, pretty much the clothes on your back. For the people that I know that have come back here, unfortunately, a lot have reoffended. Most of the guys that I know ended up back in prison within a month or 2, you know, suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, wanting to get out of that situation they find themselves in.
53-year-old Amanda Walker's family, including her mother, all live in Australia.
You're not ever going to see them in Australia ever again?
No, only if they come back here.
What's that like?
Sorry. It's devastating because my mum, she's 73 now. I can't be there for my oldest boy. Some of the babies I haven't even seen yet. I've seen them on Facebook.
Amanda is one of around 200 Wahine deportees whose Australian dream came to an abrupt end after moving to the Gold Coast in 2000.
I'd had good jobs, I'd paid my taxes, you know, I'd done all the right thing with everything else.
The mother of 5 had never been in trouble with the law.
In 2010, I think I started getting a little bit depressed in that. My husband lost his job and it was really spiralling down. So I ended up getting into drugs. It got to the point that I really was addicted to drugs and I needed to have drugs, and that's what it was like for me. And then when you're seeing with other people and what kind of money they can make from all that, and you're thinking, oh, maybe I can do that. Not to be greedy or anything like that, but to make sure that there was food on the table and all that kind of stuff.
Amanda was arrested on the Gold Coast for selling methamphetamine. It cost her 6.5 years in jail, a one-way ticket to New Zealand, and another 2 years on parole. The day she exited the justice system here, she got this letter. It's a reminder of how far she's come, successfully completing her returning offender order with no breaches.
I want to work with our people to help them feel like they deserve to be here. They deserve to be part of a community, a society that will accept them.
7 years clean, she's on a very different journey, in her 3rd year studying for a degree in social work.
This course has shown me how I can give back to society. Because I've been there, done that, I want to show them that you can do it. Whether we've been incarcerated or deported, that doesn't define us. Embracing education, that'll set you on the right path, because all you can think about is studying, you know? You haven't got time to think about any negativity.
But freedom is still a while away for Lee, who has to complete his probation here.
You come back to a country that you don't really know, and then it feels like you're being tarred with the same brush.
When do you stop being a 501?
It isn't a simple question to answer, because sometimes it feels like it's never going to end.
He's focused on getting his apprenticeship in plumbing and building a new life here.
It just warms my heart to see people like Amanda, to see people like Lee, but also what they've done when they've come back.
The Road to Redemption wānanga David organises for 501 deportees helps ex-criminals reintegrate back into life here, reconnecting them to their culture, many for the first time.
For me, there was no porphyry. The porphyry when you're coming back as a deportee is the police are waiting for you, you're in cuffs, you're being marched off the plane, which is traumatic in itself. These porphyry at these wānangas that we're holding, that's more than just being welcomed into that space. That's being welcomed into New Zealand. When you're going through this porphyry, everything that you once were, 501, deportee, that's at the door now. You're home now.
What is it like for those recent deportees to come and see a porphyry and witness waiata and be a part of, like, confronting their culture?
It's like they were tourists. You know, they had their phones out and they're filming because they've never seen anything like it before. So that's what we're big on, reconnecting people to the land and making them proud to be New Zealand.
David's work with returnees has highlighted the struggles many face finding employment, housing and getting a fresh start in Aotearoa.
And I'll tell you now, there's no comparison between getting out of prison and being deported. It's a whole different situation. When we come back here, we're basically refugees.
That was the most amazing day. The porphyry. Oh, wow, the haka. Being connected to our whenua, being properly introduced back home was huge. It was huge.
The promise of higher pay and better conditions has lured record numbers of Kiwi migrants to Australian shores. These former 501s want whānau to know what happens when the sweet Aussie dream turns sour.
Our people are committing suicide because of coming back here, because of all their families are there. Those stories have got to be told, you know.
Makes me feel upset that my children could face the same problems in their own future.
You can't keep on doing what you're doing to us. You can't keep on doing it to your own people.
We have the same story, maybe different roads or different ups and downs, but we can survive this as hard as it can be.